Welcome everyone to Midwest Clinic. This is a product showcase brought to you by Wenger. Today we're going to be discussing the benefits of SoundLok sound isolation practice rooms. My name is Jade Parker. I am the Associate Product Manager within the Acoustics Department, and I will be leading you through the majority of this today. And on the phone with me, I have...
My name's Michael Duba. I'm a Senior Regional Sales Manager with the Wenger Corporation, covering most of the southern United States.
View of what's going to be going on here. In Chapter 1, we're going to be doing more of a product-specific overview, talking about the key features and going through and breaking it down. And then in Chapter 2, Mike will be taking over and running through some case studies for me. If you do stick around to the end, we do have a link for a certificate of completion if you are needing that. So feel free to click that link when we get there. Other than that, let's do a quick little introduction. Wenger Corporation has been around since 1946. We are located in Owatonna, Minnesota. You can see the aerial view of our main office plant there. We do have a couple of branches throughout the United States. Wenger's most notably known for their very first product, which is actually the aluminum baton. And then from there, we created the sousaphone chair. And this was a chair that was designed for smaller musicians. Maybe they had difficulty holding the sousaphone up. This chair provided them the support and benefit they needed so that they could play those larger instruments. And with that product, we really launched our name into the industry. Nowadays, I like to make the joke that other than the four walls, we pretty much take care of everything in your room that you need. Chairs, stands, and then once you're in the theater, same thing, rigging, seating, lighting, you name it. So we've really grown over these last few years. So as we talk about sound isolation, it is important to kind of understand a little bit about acoustics. So as you'll notice on the screen here, we have this nice little diagram, and there is a purple kidney bean in the middle of it. That is the speech bubble. So as you're looking at the graph, as you go across the bottom, from left to right, that's low frequency to high frequency, or if you want to think of it as a musician, your low notes to your high notes. So you can see what the human voice is capable of creating. And then as you look at that bigger, larger blue bubble, that's what an instrument is able to create. So there's a greater range of frequencies that instruments can create. And as we look from the bottom to the top on the axis there, that is measurement in decibels, or if you want to consider it like sound energy or clicks of volume on your remote control for your TV. That is just kind of giving you an idea of how much energy can be created. So we look at the top of the human speech bubble. It's around about 60 decibels. So if someone is screaming at the top of their lungs, that would probably be the max out for them. And then you'll notice as we look at the instrumental, it is significantly larger. It is roughly 64 times louder, and it gets up to about 140 decibels. And that is roughly equivalent to a jet engine. So imagine as a teacher, if you're exposed to that for 6, 7, 8 hours a day at 140 decibels, it could really affect your hearing health. So it is something to consider. Specifically, as we are looking at sound isolation, you want to be able to stop as many of those decibels as possible, so that you're not interfering with anything going on around you. So if I'm in my practice room, I don't want to disturb someone in the practice room right next door. So how can I take as much sound out of that as possible? And then you'll notice across the bottom, we do have a piano, and then written across the top of the piano in red are actual measurements of the wavelengths for those notes. So when we look at the top of the piano, it's only about 3.2 inches, and the bottom of the piano is a 40.4 foot wavelength. So when we are talking about isolation and acoustics, when you think about it, a 40-foot wavelength is huge. So imagine trying to stop an elephant with a piece of paper. It's not going to happen. So you do need mass density, something that's really going to stop that sound from moving on and bleeding into the next room. So if you hit the next slide for me. So at Wenger, we like to use the term critical listening quite a bit. And for us, really what critical listening is, when you look at it from a musician aspect, is the ability for a musician to hear themselves and to hear everyone else. So by everyone else, I do mean everyone. So if I am a flute player on one side of the band and I'm doing a duet with a clarinet player on the other side, I need to be able to hear them. But I also still need to be able to hear the band in order to keep my tempo. So it is important to not only hear yourself, but others. And then there is another aspect that kind of comes into play when it comes to music, where a room can actually have a pitch or a tone based upon its size. It has to do with the way the wavelengths interact and bounce off the walls. So in a case like that, if you had everyone in the room all playing a different note, whichever student was playing the note that matched the pitch of the room, they would actually appear to be louder than everyone else in the room. So when we are looking at acoustics and sound isolation, you have to take all these things into consideration in order to balance, blend, and also block out any noise that you don't want to hear. That is another aspect of critical listening. So when it comes to our practice rooms, if you think of other students, foot traffic, HVAC systems, let's say these rooms are right next to a freeway and you hear street traffic. So really being able to isolate the musician in there so that they can hear themselves, or if they're in there in an ensemble, that they can hear the ensemble. The next slide for me. So that's just a brief overview of acoustics in general. The next chapter, we will break down specifically more how SoundLok works. So I hope you guys stick around. Thank you so much.